Our first diagramming challenge is going to be this Layers of the Earth project. So I'm going to show you the things you need to know about getting this project done. First of all, on my help page on the website on Business Information Technology, here's a link for Layers of the Earth. And we're going to take a quick look at this. You're going to, in this project, it's a 60-point project, use Illustrator to create a diagram that shows the layers of the Earth. Now there's more details on the handout. You have to have a title that's in large letters. You'll see more in a minute. Keep watching. You must draw each layer of the Earth. You're going to need 5 layers. Use the ellipse tool to do it. Each layer must be filled differently from any other layer. No layer the same color. You could use patterns or gradients if you want to, but no 2 layers filled the same. Make them all different. You must label each layer using text, and then you'll need to either draw a line or arrow. And again, keep watching. I'll show you more about that as we go. So that will point to the layer. Keep watching. You'll see what I mean. Scoring. Having the title gets you 10 points. Draw and fill each layer, 25 points. Label each layer with text and lines or arrows, 25 points. Here are the layers that you have to create and label. Inner core, inner mantle, outer mantle, and crust. That's working from the center out. Save your work on your network drive. You could just call it Earth Layers. That would work. Turn it in on Schoology when you're done. At the time right now when I'm making this movie, this assignment is not posted on Schoology, but at the time that you work on this, when you're watching this movie and you're working on this assignment, it will be posted on Schoology. It will be Illustrator number 8, the diagram for the layers of the Earth. Let's go over to Illustrator. Here's one that's finished. This is the kind of thing that you're going to make today. Notice the things that are required. A title. All right, there's that. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers, and they are all different colors. And they are also labeled with text: inner core, inner mantle, outer mantle, crust. And they have little arrows that are pointing to each part. This is what we're shooting for, a clear, understandable diagram of the layers of the Earth. I'm going to close this one and do a fast version of this to show you a few tips. Make a new artboard. I would recommend landscape orientation. That's not required, but I would recommend that if I were you. And here we go. You have to have a title that's in large letters. Layers of the Earth. All right. Now you know when you make text in Illustrator, you can take it and make it larger as you desire. And I do want the letters to be big up at the top of the page. Come to the font options here and do whatever you feel like you would like to do with the font. I'm going to make it Rockwell Extra Bold, and I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Colors here are going to be up to you. I'm going to fill that with orange and stroke it with black. Now here's an idea. We did a lesson on this. You could add effects anywhere you want. For example, maybe I'll just throw a little drop shadow on that lettering. I kind of like the way that looks. I'm not really going to play with these options, but I'll throw a little drop shadow on there. That dresses it up a little bit. Now let's start making some layers of the Earth. Use the ellipse tool. Hey, if you want a perfect circle, hold down the Shift key while you draw the circle, and it will be a perfect circle. Now I can work on the coloring of this as I go, but I know that I'm going to need 5 different layers. Now I think what I'm going to do with this outer layer, this is going to wind up being my biggest one, so I'm just going to make that a green color. Now you could draw another circle, or you could alt drag this circle and make it a little bit smaller. And then I'll come along here and give that a different color. I don't think I want to use red just yet. I'll use a brownish color there. Now this circle is going to have to lay right on top of the other one. Get them lined up as well as you can here. All right, now I'm going to alt drag that and I can make that a little bit smaller, and this one is going to be a different color. Once again, got to fill it with a different color. You could use patterns and gradients. We've done lessons on patterns and gradients. That's kind of up to you. I'm just doing a quick version here. I'm going to alt drag that. Remember, I'm going to need 5 sooner or later, so this one's going to have to be a little bit smaller. I'm trying to make this look like a jawbreaker that's cut out or whatever. Now that one's got to be a different color, so we're going to go with kind of an orangish color there, and I'm going to alt drag that, and we're now down to our innermost layer of the earth. And I'm going to put that right in there and fill that with red. Now again, remember, you could do some things like if I select this green one and go to Effect, Stylize, no, it's on Distort and Transform. I'm going to roughen the outside. Now I don't want to roughen it that much, so I don't want the size of that to be quite so dramatic. Maybe I'll just put that, try it at about 2%. 2% is even a little much for me, so maybe I'll do it at just kind of 1%. That's better, and maybe a little less detail in that. I just want the crust of the earth is not perfectly round, although you could have it round in your diagram if you want. I'm just playing with options here. I'll click OK. Now remember, the effects are not required. If you go back and look at the requirements, the effects are not required. That's up to you. Now all we have to do is label some things. So I'm going to get the Type tool, and I'm going to say inner core. All right, now I can size that a little bit. And you can change the font if you want to. You know, maybe I just want to go back to kind of a pretty basic Arial bold font for that part. Size it however you want. Now I know that I'm going to have to label some other things. So I think what I'm going to do is Alt drag that, and I'll just bring this one down here, and I'll double click it so I can edit and say outer core. I'll use my black arrow here, and I'll alt drag that and bring it down here, and I'm going to double click it so I can edit, and this one's going to say inner mantle. Did you forget what the layers are? Well, then go back and look at my handout. They're right there. Inner core, inner mantle, outer mantle, crust. All right, I'm going to use my black arrow and alt drag this copy. And we have to have, I'm going to double click so I can edit, and that's going to be outer mantle. And then I need one more. I'll use my black arrow, and I will alt drag and edit, and this is going to say crust. I have my text items, but which piece is which? All right, well, here's what I would recommend. You could use the line segment tool, or if you really want to use the arc tool, you could, but I'm going to use the line segment tool. The inner core is this part right in here. Now that's going to have a little thickness to it, and it could be any color you want, although I'm just going to go with black. Now here's another possibility. This line is fine. There's nothing wrong with just drawing a line, but if you click here where it says stroke, you can, if you wish, add arrowheads. And you can change the scaling of the arrowheads a little bit if they're too big or too small. So I'm just going to draw an arrowhead on there. It's on where you click where it says stroke right here, and then there's arrowheads down here, and you can add them to the end of the line. All right, so real quickly here, I'm going to finish this up. The outer core is located, it's this orange part, so I'm going to do that, and I'll perhaps add an arrowhead to that. There's lots of styles of arrowheads. The inner mantle, I'll take my line tool. The inner mantle is the part that's light brown on my diagram. It may be a different color on your diagram. All right, so I'll add an arrowhead to that. The outer mantle is this darker brown, so I'll use my line tool, and I'm going to add an arrowhead because I want to, because I feel like it. And then the crust is this part right here. And again, I'm going to click where it says stroke and add an arrowhead. And let's take a look. All of the big title at the top. 5 layers. They're all nice and lined up, and they're all filled in with different colors. The text items that do the labeling and the arrows that point to the proper part of the diagram, I've got it. So I would go File, and I would go Save As, and I would make sure I get to my network drive and just call this like Earth Layers. Save that, turn it in, and that is your diagramming challenge of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, have at it.